The story begins. There are no ghosts in this world. I still firmly believe that today, says Senior Carter, as he begins his story. My family are devout Christians, but I've never believed in any religion myself. He adds with a shrug. I ask, really? I take a puff of my cigarette, watching the ember glow faintly in the darkness. So, Senior Carter, what exactly do you want to tell me? Senior Carter is the senior graduate student in our lab, while I'm just a first-year master's student, still new and eager. His research is a branch of the main project, and he's always generous with his knowledge, often staying late into the night. Sometimes we'd go up to the rooftop of the department building, smoking and joking, sharing stories. That night, unexpectedly, we started talking about the strange things we'd encountered. Senior Carter then opens his palm, as if making a firm decision, and shows me his hand. The burn scars you see are from an incident back when I first moved to Taipei for my master's. He says, eyes flickering in the dim light. Under the faint glow of the street lamps, I can see patches of unusually smooth skin on his right hand. Evidence of burns. I wonder what strange experiences he might have had. He pauses, then adds, but no matter how unbelievable it sounds, I believe all that can be explained by science. Yet, I still think the most terrifying thing is people. That year, I was 22, having just been accepted into a prestigious university in the North for my graduate studies. I arrived full of excitement and hope, eager to start my new life. I quickly found a supervisor and planned to rent a small apartment nearby. Everything seemed fine, except the rent was exorbitant, $7,000 to $11,000 a month, impossible for a student from the South with limited funds. Despite my efforts, I couldn't find a place that fit my budget. I refused to share with others, and without university dorm placement, the deadline loomed. I grew anxious day by day. 2 days before classes started, I saw an ad online, a one-bedroom with a bathroom, only $4,000. So I called immediately to see the place. When I arrived, I understood why it was so cheap. The apartment was a corner unit on the top floor of a government housing complex. Old and dilapidated, with peeling paint and leaking spots. No elevator, and the walls were cracked and patchy. Despite the spaciousness, no one wanted it, and the condition was terrible. But at that moment, I didn't care about all that. I just needed a quiet place to rest, and whether the place was bad didn't matter much. It was far worse than I imagined, but I signed the lease quickly anyway. The landlady was a frail, pale, middle-aged woman. She told me her heart was weak, and I remember climbing to the 5th floor behind her, gasping for breath, her face full of pain. She warned me about a few things when we signed. First, to keep quiet about her renting the unit. And if I needed her, she'd be on the 2nd floor so I could find her there. Don't tell anyone that this is a government housing unit, she whispered, her large eyes fixed on me. There are bad people here, people who can't stand seeing others do well. If anyone asks, just say you're a relative of mine. Second, she told me, never open the door to the other room. The layout was simple, 2 units per floor, with the main door facing another apartment. Inside was a living room, 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, and a bathroom. The other room was locked, and she said it was a storage space, filled with old lamps and furniture. There are mice in there, she warned. Keep it locked. and don't open it unless necessary. The room that was locked was reinforced with an iron door, unlike the thin wooden door of the other. It seemed odd. Why would a storage room need such heavy security? I was too naive then to notice anything strange, just thinking she was a bit paranoid. Little did I know, strange things started happening soon after I moved in. For example, footsteps at midnight. Our community was mostly elderly, so at night it was dead silent. Even a pin dropping could be heard. The sound of footsteps outside my door was so close I could hear the slight scuffing of shoes or bikes. Sometimes there were sounds of locks turning or doors opening. Mostly, I thought it was students returning late. But sometimes I couldn't convince myself otherwise. I'd hear footsteps when I was asleep, clear as if someone was pacing in the living room, then stopping right outside my door, as if someone was standing there. I told myself it was just the sounds from downstairs, nulling, but I never dared to open the door to check. Gradually, I started having hallucinations, feeling that someone was watching me in the room, that my belongings were being moved around. Books flipped pages on their own, and my favorite plaid shirt and jeans went missing. One night, I again heard footsteps outside my door, slow and deliberate. The sound of shoes echoed, then suddenly stopped, as if someone was just standing there. I was too frightened to look. I started to believe someone was secretly in the house watching me. Maybe my loneliness or stress had made me paranoid. Sometimes I thought my books on the desk had been flipped through, or my missing clothes had been taken. I even suspected that someone was in the house with me. My mind played tricks, and I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Then, one night, I heard that same slow footsteps, approaching my door, then halting. I was wide awake, trembling, unable to sleep. Suddenly, I saw it, a pair of feet outside my door. The ankles emerged from beneath a pair of jeans, moving stiffly as if controlled by an invisible force. It was the feet of the mannequin in the storage room, moving slowly and deliberately, as if alive. I was on the verge of losing consciousness, realizing the mannequin was actually moving. The feet stopped right outside my door, then the door suddenly swung open. A rush of cool air poured in, reviving my senses. I struggled to climb out of bed, hearing the distant sirens of fire trucks outside. I crawled towards the door, but just as I reached it, I couldn't open it. The room grew hotter and hotter, and I curled up by the door, feeling as if my lungs were about to burst. I kept coughing, desperate, waiting for rescue. And then I saw it, a pair of legs standing beside me. They emerged from beneath the jeans, stiff and unnatural, yet they moved steadily as if alive. The mannequin was moving, I was sure, inching closer to the door. It stopped just outside as I was losing consciousness. Suddenly, the door swung open. A blast of fresh air rushed in, and I summoned my remaining strength to crawl into the living room. I heard the distant wail of sirens fading into the night. I tried to keep moving, but I fainted just before reaching the doorway, overwhelmed by exhaustion. I woke up 3 or 4 days later, confused and weak. "Senior, wait," I interrupt him, unable to hold back my curiosity. "Are you saying that mannequin moved on its own?" He nods hesitantly. "Honestly, I don't really know," he admits. "I've been questioning Was I just so dizzy from the smoke that I saw things? After I regained consciousness, the police came to investigate. The fire department confirmed the apartment was badly burned and the other units were spared. But my room was almost completely destroyed. They questioned me repeatedly, trying to find inconsistencies in my story. I told them everything except for the part about the mannequin walking the Liaganizithrasuid. I thought it was just a hallucination caused by near death. Every time I mentioned the story of the landlord believing in black magic or the mannequin in the room, their expressions would turn strange. They kept asking, but couldn't find proof. Later, they discovered a damaged hidden camera on the ceiling. So I realized perhaps every move I made was monitored. Senior Carter takes a drag from his cigarette, then falls silent. I ask, "Does it end there?" He replies quietly, "Basically, yes. Some things are hard to explain." And to this day, I still can't give a solid answer. I ask if he returned to check the place again. He nods, "Yes, once." My family said there was nothing left to see. The fire brigade arrived in time and didn't spread to other units. The unit I stayed in was almost burned to ash, with almost nothing remaining. But I still wanted to go back to see if I could find something. That day, the weather was clear. A few cats basked on the rooftops, and the alley was silent. I slowly climbed to the 5th floor, about to enter, when a neighbor called out to me. She said softly, "Hey, weren't you badly injured that day? It's been so long. I saw you still had the strength to run out, so I thought it wasn't that serious." I must have looked surprised. She comfortingly patted my arm, saying, "Good thing you're okay. By the way, you dropped a plaid shirt on the ground that day. I picked it up for you. I'll bring it out." I felt cold all over. She went inside, and before she came out, I bolted down the stairs, ran out of the apartment, and never returned. "Wait, Senior, you mean?" I frowned, realizing that he was unconscious and later rescued, not escaping by himself. He nods, "Exactly. And that plaid shirt, I wasn't even wearing it at the time." He looks distant. Before I left for the hospital, I vaguely sensed something was wrong. The police told me the day before I left that they found no remnants of the mannequin in the burnt room. "That means," I say, feeling a sudden chill in the air. "Yes, you're right," he says softly. But what scared me most wasn't that. It was her, the landlord's wife. Because the other apartment across the hall is vacant. And that woman, she kind of looked like my landlord's wife, but she had no expression on her face, like she was wearing a mask. Her hand, when she touched me, felt hard and smooth, just like the mannequin's. The story ends. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Mr. Macabre for more twisted tales that keep the darkness alive.